Hello, internet fans. It's your old pal Rotten Roger DeMarco here from 3bproductionco.com. Yup, it is still fucking February. So you know what that means. We gotta do more Valentine's Day themed slasher flicks. So this week, we're gonna be taking a look at Jamie Blank's 2001 film, Valentine. If you follow this channel, then you have probably seen the Buddies Forever Valentine Blu-ray breakdown. Evil Dead Inks and I did a VCast talking about this movie, and we went pretty in-depth about this film and the upcoming Scream Factory Blu-ray. But if you have not seen that, it's time for me to review it. Basically, this is the plot breakdown. It's your good old-fashioned revenge slasher flick. Typical 80s plot. Jeremy Melton is a geeky kid who gets rejected time and time again at a Valentine's dance in the 80s. When he finally does get a girl to dance with him and kiss him, she becomes embarrassed at the fact that she's making out with the class geek, so she sort of frames him and gets him in trouble for something that he was not necessarily responsible for. Flash forward to the girls being grown up, and now someone is picking them off systematically, and they believe it to be Jeremy Melton. It's very much an 80s slasher film plot, blah, blah, blah. Before we talk about my overall thoughts of the film and some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, first, let's take a look at Rocky Rogers! Splatter facts. We have 9 dead bodies. We have 0 titties. Unless you count the tits on the video maze wall. And they're there for a split second. You gotta pay attention and you might catch a couple nipples. They're so quick that maybe they even sneak their way into the edited for TV versions. So keep your eyes open for them titties at, 2 in the afternoon on TBS. Is TBS still a channel? I don't know. The methods of death include, but are not limited to, throat slit, arrowed, ironed, axed, shower glass in the neck, electrocution, decapitation, and gunshot. One of the friends gets murdered, and then all the girls get back together. They start to realize that somebody has it out for them. At the time of this release in 2001, I was not overly receptive of this film. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And now, the older that I've gotten, I realize that they fucking nailed that 80s aesthetic. They nailed the killer look. They nailed the custom weapon. They nailed the reasonings behind the massacre. Everything about it screams 80s except for the cell phones and the hairstyles. But you really get a perfect throwback to those wonderful splatter films, with the exception of no nudity. You would think that for a Valentine's Day themed horror film, there would be nudity, or there would be gratuitous sex scenes or things like that. But this movie takes those slasher tropes and gives it just a smidge of class. It's a slasher film, but it never crosses that line into exploitation. It stays just classy enough to get a decent theatrical release. It has a solid cast with people like Denise Richards and David Boreanaz, if that's how you say his name. I always fuck that up. And you would think that a movie with that type of star power in the early 2000s that is a slasher film would be nothing more than a pale imitation. And that's not the case with this film. This film is exceptionally well done. Very creative. I love the look of the killer, the cherub mask. It's adorable, but it's also like, there's a lot of things about this movie that just fucking knocked it out of the park. I don't really have a lot negative to say about this movie. We get decent characters that we actually like. We get a couple characters that are just fucking atrocious, but they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be insufferable, terrible people. And we've talked about that before, because when a character gives you that motivation, when they give you just that scum fuck attitude, just enough, man, I can't wait till they get an axe in the fucking back. Dead. A lot of people that just fucking suck at being alive need to be chainsawed right down the fucking crotch. That doesn't happen in the movie, but shitty people gotta get bumped off systematically. This movie has a very standard plot. Nothing too overly complex, but that's what makes the slasher formula so digestible, so easy to sit and watch. You have attractive people, you have terrible people, you have a killer with a neat look, very good pacing, decent tension, creative death scenes. And this is one of those movies where you don't have to think, you just go along for the ride. That is what I gravitate towards. We're talking about a fun way to spend an hour and a half. You're not doing homework. Well, unless you're me, then you gotta write things down. Some of the things that I love about this movie, ridiculous, completely improbable ways to kill someone. In a slasher flick, you don't question it. It just happens. So in this film, there's a scene where one of the lead characters gets a box of chocolates. So then obviously they have to eat the Valentine's chocolates. And when they do, there are live maggots inside the chocolates. It's disgusting, it's hilarious, and it leads people like Evil and I to have theoretical conversations. Like, does the killer have a chocolate mold at home? Does the killer go to pet stores and buy live maggot? Does he make his own caramel? Is it Hershey's caramel? Where is he getting these things? That seems sort of like a weird hobby that people around you might pick up on. I think that that's hilarious. I really admire the backstory to that. If you want to hear Evil Dead Inc.'s side of the story, stick around to the end of the video and it will be the pop-up video. Excellent character development in this film. You don't have clear-cut good, clear-cut bad. You have a little bit of a gray area because that's how real people are. This film satisfies the high body count and satisfies your desire for likable characters, for a fun story. This is just a great revenge film that everyone needs to have in their collection and everyone needs to watch in February, so I had to do a video about it. This is an important film to seek out, to see, to understand that period of time in the early 2000s, to see a horror film with a little bit of balls, because for a while we were really getting some watered down stuff, and this one kind of picks up the pace a little bit and gives you an iconic look for a villain, gives you a great score, and we're back, baby. We're back to the holiday splatter flicks. This is essential holiday viewing. In my personal opinion, I have to give it 3 out of 5 blood drops because it really captures what I love about 80s horror films. It really ushers that in to the new millennium. So much fun to introduce the younger generation to the 80s style of horror. It's a perfect gateway film for easing someone into the slasher genre because it does have very creative kills, but they are mild as far as the gore goes. So if you can introduce someone to this, then you sort of open the floodgates. So this is, without a doubt, hands down, one of my favorite holiday slashers. Doesn't have to be from the 80s for it to be fucking rad. So if I have swayed you, click the link in the description and pick up the brand new Scream Factory Collector's Edition Blu-ray of Valentine. An upgrade from that shitty fucking cardboard sleeve one from when it first came out. Get a real nice copy loaded to the gills with special features. I don't have it yet because it's not out yet. But you can get it and I'll be envious of you. I suppose I should probably get going because after all, there's a lot of movies out there. Somebody's got to watch them, so why not me, right?